The motto of today is don't throw it away. Hi, I'm Pokey Bolton, your host. In today's episode, we'll learn how to upcycle scraps into stitched treasures. First, learn about the inspiration and techniques behind Victoria Gertenbach's work quilt series. Find out how to use leftover scraps of shot cotton fabrics along with simple hand stitching to create fun, decorative borrow baubles. Then, Deidre Adams shares her personal approach to free motion quilting with some thoughts on sources of inspiration. Finally, Judy Coates-Perez upcycles tea bags to create imagery on fabric for mixed media art quilts. So before you throw anything away, let's go meet Victoria. Well, I have our first guest for today, Victoria Gertenbach. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And you are known for your beautiful work quilts, which I just adore. But you like to take the scraps of your fabrics and create these little borrow baubles.
That's right.
They are so cute. They're a great home decor accent.
Thank you, yeah. They're just a real fun way of using up my leftover scraps.
And why do you call them borrow baubles?
Borrow is actually the Japanese term for ragged or rags. And because you shot cottons, they have a little ragged edge around them, and bauble just a little decorative.
So cute. Well, let's talk about those shot cottons. What makes them so special?
Well, it reads as a solid colored fabric, but if you look closely, you can see, and the fringe shows, it's actually woven with one color warp and another color for the weft. And so it gives a real richness and luminosity.
So you can see around those borrow baubles that you've got the frayed edges of two colors, and that's
exactly
because
and you can see
the shot cotton's great. Right. So how do we get started?
Okay, well, you're going to need 3 different colors of fabric and cut 2 2-inch circles, 2 1-inch circles, and 2 1/2-inch circles. Place your 2 largest circles on top of each other, and then you're just going to, I like to use a contrasting thread so it shows up.
Are you using a machine thread or a hand thread for this?
This is a blendable thread.
A machine thread, okay.
Right. And you're going to stitch with a small running stitch about a scant 1/8 of an inch from the edge, going 3/4 of the way around. And when you get 3/4 of the way around, you just want to take about a palm size full of stuffing. And I generally roll it up in a ball. It helps get it in there better. And just open it up and just stuff it in there like you would a little pillow or something. Okay, and when you get that stuffed in there, you just want to continue around with your running stitch till it's all closed up, but keep your thread in place because we're going to keep using that same thread, and we're just going to do a whip stitch all around the outside.
Okay, so this is without the whip stitch.
That's
and
without,
this one does have the whip stitch.
Right.
And why do you add the whip stitch?
I think it gives it a better finished look, and it actually brings out that frayed edge. You can see the different colors shooting out of there.
So what's the next step?
The next step is you're going to take one of your 1-inch circles and just lay that on, and again using a running stitch you just want to go all the way around, tacking that down, and then again do a little overhand whip stitch.
And do you do this on one side or both sides?
I do it on both sides.
Okay.
Okay, you just push your needle right through to the other side and do the next one. Then we're going to take the 1/2-inch circle and lay that right on, and this time just use a little tiny overhand stitch and go all the way around and do the opposite side too.
Okay, and then the last little step.
The last little step, I like to use again a thread that shows up, and I just bring the thread up to the center.
Yeah, I'd love for you to stitch this one.
Okay, pretend this is a clock. You're going to go down at 3 o'clock and back up where...
And you're coming inside the stitched edges, I see.
Exactly, right. And then we're going to go back down and come up where...
Being careful not to
6 o'clock.
Hurt yourself.
That's right.
You do a lot of very tiny, tiny hand stitches.
Yeah. And then just come up at the 12 and back down again. And you just continue that way. And then I fill in the center. Sometimes I put two stitches in between each of these spaces.
Well, you could make these in a variety of sizes if you wanted to.
You could. I actually have been thinking about doing a really larger one for a pincushion.
Like a pillow
right.
or a pincushion. That's a great idea.
Or a pillow. That would be great.
But these would be great brooches or...
Yes, you could string them together for
that
necklaces, bracelets.
Would be darling.
You could put a little fabric loop on them and hang them from a Christmas tree, or string them together for a garland. So when you're done, you just go around to the back side.
Aiming for the center?
Aiming for the center, which I'm not doing a very good job at.
I think you did
and then you
pretty
just
darn good.
do the back. And then when you're done, That's it.
Voila. And then how do you knot off? How do you bury the knot?
I just tie a little knot. Let's pretend that
That it's done.
well, it would come up at the center at the end. And then I just tie a little knot and go back down, and I come out right under that 1-inch one.
Okay.
And I usually do that
and
twice.
You tug it pretty
tug
good
it, right,
to get
and
that knot
hides. That's how I
inside.
hide all the knots.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Okay.
Well, that's great. Well, let's move on to your work quilts. And tell me a little bit about the work quilts and what the term work quilt means.
The inspiration for these are different sources. Labor, definitely, both machine and the slow hand movement. I'm also inspired by old utilitarian quilts that would have been done maybe in the 1930s. Japanese boro stitch work, which was old patched. And
So
also,
using scraps of fabrics.
right.
So tell us a little bit about this one in progress.
Okay, I started by just randomly piecing out of different bits of fabric the background, and then I did a layer of machine quilting.
And it looks like you varied the straight stitch with the zigzag stitch.
Exactly. I just think that kind of has more of an industrial sort of feel to it. And also, when I did the piecing, I incorporated some reverse applique to maybe be reminiscent of some patched, mended clothing. And then I do a layer of hand stitching.
After you've machine stitched.
After I machine stitch, right, I'll go in there, and I like the lines to be a little, on this one, varied and wavy. And I'll actually hand stitch all across these, and I'll also go this way on this one.
It looks like you're using a multicolored machine thread?
Yes, I am.
For your hand stitching?
Yes, I am. Okay. And I double the thread over, actually, so that it really shows up and pops.
And so let's take a look at this brown quilt, because this is a completed quilt.
Yes.
It's absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
I love this quilt. And you've used a variety of colors of threads for this.
Yes.
And again, same process, machine quilt first. and
Exactly. It was pieced together. You can see the various blocks, and I also added a few reverse applique again, and some patches to that layer. Then I machine quilted it. Then I actually added some more patches, machine quilted it again. So I'll vary the different layers that I'll do, and then the hands.
Some subtle landscape I see kind of coming through this, qualities of it.
I live in rural Lancaster County, and I am very inspired by the farmland that surrounds me. And so just taking that inspiration, but not being literal about it, I'll add that might be a little piece of land with a pond. Here, a red barn and the doors, another pond. Over here, a road and a tree. So just different things that wouldn't be obvious to other people, but they're symbolic to me.
And you have a series of these quilts. We have just a couple of more quilts here with us.
Yes.
These are beautiful. Victoria, thank you so much for sharing. And we will have these quilts on the website for you to view. And next up is Deidre.